Hi, my name's Tim Johnson. One common theme that runs right through addiction, and certainly applies to all the addicts that I've spoken to in my life probably, is, and certainly applied to me, and stopped me from getting sober for 30 odd years or over 30 years, is a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-worth, the feeling that you're not worthy, that you're never good enough, that people don't like you, that it runs right through all those in addiction, and certainly a massive part of our society at the moment, which is why there's so much unhappiness and probably depression and running through most people. And in this video, I want to share with you how that I've changed that in myself, and it has been a revelation to me. It has been the single most important, I think, part of my recovery this time, and the thing that's made it stick, if you like. I suppose that's the best way of putting it. You see, the thing is, we're primarily wired back to caveman days when, and this is an animal thing, you know, you look at animals born in the wild, the first thing that they seek is connection, and they want to avoid rejection. If they don't connect with their mothers or their parents, if you like, and are rejected, then they die. And this is a primal thing that is wired deep within us, within our brains, which is why that even now, when, you know, we're not cubs in the wild, if you like, or, you know, we're not going to die, that we constantly seek approval, and we constantly want people to like us. We don't want to be rejected. We're constantly seeking connection, and we want that from our parents, and we want that from everyone we meet throughout our life. But you find generally that this lack of self-worth, and I've said this before, that most addiction is based in pain, and a lot of that pain most of the time is from childhood experiences. And certainly in my case, and I'll use myself as an example here, and I look back on it, and I know that many of you had terrible things happen to you now and in your childhood, but I'll just use myself as an example in this case, that my father walked out when I was 6 years old, and never saw him again, and my mother started drinking and using drugs, and in a sense rejected myself and my brother. And without knowing it then, you know, these opinions and this lack of self-worth began its growth within me. I was telling myself that, without realizing it, that the reason he'd gone and abandoned us was my fault, was because I wasn't good enough, because that, you know, I wasn't worthy of his attention, and that my mother rejected us for the same reasons and didn't like us, you know, and this lack of self-worth, this lack of self-esteem, and not being good enough is formed from a very early age. And it can go on and on and on and become a theme in your life. You know, your teachers, he'll never amount to anything, he'll never pass his exams, he's not good enough. And then of course bullying, and, you know, oh, look at him, he's strange, ugly, look at what he's wearing, you know, and it constantly in your head, you know, and these opinions are formed, and you believe that you aren't worthy, that you aren't good enough, that you are ugly, that you will never achieve anything, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. By the time you're 5 years old, that half of your opinions that you'll ever have in your life are formed. By the time you're 7 years old, that's done, and that's you. You know, this ego, if you like, is done. So that's why it's so important, you know. You find many famous people. It doesn't, because it's not about material stuff. It doesn't matter how much money you have, or how good, talented you are, or what clothes you wear, whether they're designer clothes, or how many likes you get on Facebook, how many people, you know, people click heart on your thing, whatever it is, when you're seeking approval. It's not about that. If you look at the likes of Amy Winehouse, Heath Ledger, Michael Jackson, Prince, Robin Williams, you know, the list goes on and on. Now, these people had what you would perceive to be the perfect lives, if you like. They had looks, they had success, they had money, more than they could ever spend. They had talent oozing from them. They had thousands of or millions of people adoring them, adoration everywhere. And yet, the common theme that ran right through each and every one of those people, and many, many millions of other people, not just famous people, was that they're not good enough, that they're not worthy of this success, that their self-esteem was rock bottom, if you like, which is why they all turned to addiction in most cases and ended their own lives through desperation, through this inner self-hatred. It's more, it's like, but it's something that can be changed. There's no doubt about that, because your mind doesn't give a shit doesn't care what you're telling it. It will believe whatever you tell it. It doesn't care either way. If you tell it you're a piece of shit and you're not worthy and that you're ugly and that you'll never amount to anything, then that's what it believes, and it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what will happen, because you will exude that energy. That is the law of physics. That is fact. That's not me bullshitting. That's fact. But if you're constantly telling it, I am worthy, I will achieve that, I am beautiful, nothing is impossible, I am happy, I am positive, whatever it is, but most of all that you are worthy, I am worthy. You constantly say that to yourself 100 times a day if you have to. I am worthy. Into a mirror, write it everywhere you like, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter how you do it. But your brain will believe that. That's the way it is. That's the way your brain's wired. It will believe that. But I know that to be a fact, because 3 years ago, I thought I was a piece of shit, ugly. Couldn't look at myself in a mirror. No self-worth. I'd given up. And most of my life I'd felt like that, which is why I tried to escape. You see, you can't escape emotions like that with material things, like with the latest designer label, like with your likes on Facebook, with seeking approval constantly. You can't achieve that with, it doesn't matter how much money you've got in your bank account, or how big your house is, and how many modern appliances you have, a touch button this, touch button that. It doesn't matter. You will never achieve that inner happiness or that self-worth through those things outside of yourself. You can only find that within yourself. And you have to teach your brain, you have to rewire it, you have to tell it that you are worthy, and it will believe you. I feel inside now, it's almost like being reborn, and that sounds dramatic. See, the thing is, the way I look at it is that, and this is why I always say Carpe Diem in my videos, because Carpe Diem is seize the day, seize every moment of the day. It's something that's become a theme in my life, because I never did that. It was always the past, the future, worry, stress, self-hatred, lack of self-esteem, never achieve, whatever, never enough, always wanting more, material, capitalism, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, materialism. Trying to find happiness through substances and forget. Never worked, never ever worked. And the way I look at it, this Carpe Diem business, it's like a famous speech. My favourite film's Blade Runner. The end speech in Blade Runner, where he says, all these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain, time to die. And that sums up, your whole life is gone. Once you're gone, that's it. You've only got a certain amount of time here, and it's very precious, just like the people around you are very precious. And every single moment should be savoured. It's like Seneca said, an old Stoic quote. 2,000 years ago he said this. It's not, people think they're afraid of death. It's a fear of death. But it's not that. It's a fear of not having lived. And you might as well live with a smile on your face, loving yourself. It's not about what you can get outside of yourself. It's about enjoying your life. It's about loving yourself. It's about knowing that you are worthy, knowing that you are beautiful. It's an energy, isn't it? An energy change. It's a physical energy change, if you like, and it's truly mind-blowing, and it's a revelation. You will not stay sober if you don't start loving yourself. and if you don't increase your self-worth and look at your self-esteem, you won't, because it's inevitable that you'll fall back into that old way of thinking again, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So constantly tell yourself that you are good enough, that you are beautiful, that you are worthy. Please start today, because it's possible for anyone out there. It doesn't matter what your situation is. It doesn't matter where you think your life's going to shit, where you've got no money, you think, you perceive yourself to be useless and never going to amount to anything, and everything's dark. It isn't. You can find the light. I promise you, because I have. Anyhow, thanks for listening. That's enough waffle for me. But it does work. So please try it. You are worthy. You are worth it. You are beautiful. And life is precious. So carpe diem. Seize the day today. Much love to you. Thank you.